Welcome to this video. In this video, you will learn what SAP variants are, how you can set them up properly, and how you can make changes to SAP variants. You will get a detailed overview of SAP variants. Enjoy this video, let's get started. SAP variants are great and can help you in your daily work with the SAP system, with SAP ERP and SAP S/4HANA. I would like to explain and show you how SAP variants work in a transaction in the FBL1N transaction. And once you've entered this transaction command field, then you enter up in here. So here you can display vendor line items. And here we have different input fields, for example, the vendor account, the company code. For example, you can select based on a specific date, and you can restrict your selection for different item types. And imagine that you would like to display a specific amount of vendor line items. Then you have to enter specific inputs, for example, specific vendor account, specific company code, and so on. And with SAP variants, there you can reuse entered inputs, and you can save one input in the selection criteria so that you don't have to enter these input once again or multiple times. So then you can directly use your created SAP variant instead of typing in and entering in the values once again. And in the top left area there we have a button to get existing variants, or you could also use the key combination Shift and F5. And here we can click on this variant, and there we see that now we can select between 4 different variants. So you could just double click on one entry, or you can click on one entry and then click on this button, or you could use the F2 key on your keyboard. So I would like to show you this. For example, I would choose the audit SAP variant. I can double click, and now we've seen what happened. The vendor account has been entered with dummy, a new company code has been entered, all items has been selected with the last year, and also the GL transactions have been selected. And if you want to, you can create a SAP variant on your own. If you have selected one SAP variant and then click on the Save as Variant button, or you can also use the key combination Control and S, then you can save your input in a SAP variant. And if you have selected one before, then you will enter in the change mode of this SAP variant and can change the variant attributes. So I would like to show you this. For example, now we haven't made any changes, but if I would click on this button, then as you now see, the variant name has been taken over, the description has been over, and all of the variant attributes. If you now make some changes and then click on this save button or use the key combination Control S, then the SAP variant is overridden. If you would like to create a new variant, then you can just change this variant name, change the variant attributes, and so on. But for now, I would like to create a blank new SAP variant. To do this, I will open up the FBL1N transaction once again. And now, for example, in here, the 1010 company code is okay. The 12th of November is also okay. The item types are okay. And now I click on the Save as Variant button, or you can use the key combination Control S to save your SAP variant. If you want to, you can also go to Variants and then choose Save as Variant to save your inputs into a SAP variant. So now, for example, we would like to set up a variant called ERP underscore up. Under description, there you can describe your SAP variant briefly, what you would like to save, what you would like to do with the SAP variant. And for our case, I would like to set up a demo SAP variant. In a couple of minutes, I will explain in detail all about the variant attributes, what you can do in here. But for now, you can just click on the save button, or you could also use the key combination Control S to save your SAP variant. So now if we click on this get variant button, then we see that now our created SAP variant can be used. And if I, for example, change the company code to this one and change the date, for example, to this one, and now I get our created SAP variant, then you will see that the date will be changed and also the company code. And now the saved inputs have been taken over. So now I would like to explain you all about the variant attributes and what you can set up in detail. To do this, once again, we have to get into the edit mode, I would say, of the SAP variant, and now we're using Save as Variant button to go into there. Now our SAP variant name, description, and the variant attributes have been taken over because we have previously selected this variant name, this SAP variant, and because of that, we now have the ability to change this. If you want to set up a new variant, then you can just simply change this variant name and you don't override the previously selected one. And in here we can once again enter the variant name. If you click on this button or the 4 key on your keyboard, then you can see what variants have been created and are currently in use. Under description, there you can describe your SAP variant briefly, and as you might have noticed in the for help, the description will be shown in here. With the checkbox only for background processing, there you can set up that your SAP variant can only be used in background, in batch, and not in foreground or by a user. If you select protect variant, then your variant can only be changed by the creator. For example, if I create a SAP variant, then this SAP variant can only be changed by myself and not by anyone else. If you select only display in catalog, then your SAP variant will only be shown in the SAP catalog and not in the for help. So for example, if you're in here using the for help, then you see all the variants that have this checkbox not selected, because if this checkbox would be selected, then this SAP variant won't be shown in here. It just will be shown in the catalog. So I would like to show you this. If I, for example, select this variant once again and then check this checkbox, only display in catalog, save it. And now what we can see that our SAP variant ERP underscore up is not visible in here and can't be selected. And for this, we have to go into the variant catalog. So, and to find out the catalog, first of all, you have to know what kind of program is being used in this transaction code. And you have to keep in mind that if you execute a transaction code, then a transaction or a report is executed, because SAP variants are only in use in selection criteria in a program. And first of all, here you can see this program. So in this case, it is RFITEMAP. So you can just note this program down because we need it later on. Another possibility that you can use to find out the program is in the transaction SE93. And here you can enter your transaction code. So in our case, it's FBL1N. Then you can click on this display button, and here we also get to know our executed program. The third option is to open up the data browser in the transaction code SE16N, and then we open up a table, the TSTC table, and under transaction code there we enter the transaction code FBL1N, and then we hit the F8 key on our keyboard, and under program we also get to know our executed program. Then we move over to the ABAP editor. It's the transaction code SE38, and in here we have to paste in our selected program of this transaction code, and then we can choose variants. And now we go into the display mode, and now we see this program, and once again with the for help we can't see our variant, but we see it in the catalog. And for this one, we click in the menu to variants and then to catalog. And here we see our variant. If you double click, then you go into the values of this variant. You can also change the values if you want to. You can go back to the catalog with this button, and if you want to, you can also delete one SAP variant with this button. And how can you change the checkbox? There you can use a little workaround, and for this we are entering once again in our transaction FBL1N, and then we hit the save as variant button, and now in here we are entering exactly our ID of the SAP variant to override this checkbox. So in here it doesn't matter description, but in our case I would like to enter once again demo, and now I leave this checkbox blank, not selected, and now I save it. Because of that, I'm now overwriting the variant ERP up, and now if I click once again to get variant, then this can now be selected once again. So again, we're going to the variant attributes, and the system variant automatic transport describes a system variant. So you normally see a system variant with the CUS and sign or the SAP and sign. And for example, if we're using in here the for help, then we are seeing exactly this. In here we are seeing the prefix SAP, and this describes that this variant is a system variant. And in the screen assignment, there you can see the assignment of a SAP variant. A program or a report can have multiple selection screens, but in this case just one, the 1000. And once you have assigned a SAP variant to a selection screen, you can change it afterwards, but you can change it with the use screen assignment and not just by saving it with the save or control S key combination. So if there are multiple selection screens, then you have just to select the checkbox, and then you can click on this button if you want to change the screen assignment. Down here we can see multiple columns, and with this button you can use some operations on them. So for example, if you click on one column and then click on this button, then you can sort this column in ascending order, you can sort the column in descending order, You can find a specific value in the columns. If you want to, you can print the outcome. And if you want to, you can show the technical names. So for example, now we are seeing the technical names. Once you have clicked on this button, there are new buttons will appear. So for example, you can check the entries, you can refresh it, you can, for example, copy a text, you can append a row, and so on. You have multiple operations. As mentioned in here, we are seeing now all the selection fields that are in use in the DIMPRO. So for example, in here we are seeing the selection screen number in which this field is in use. Here we see the field name. Once you've clicked on this button, you'll see the technical name. Under type, you see if this field is a selection field, is a selection criteria, so you have an interval, a range. If you have a P, then this is a parameter, a single entry, a single value. If you check the protect field value, then you can't make some changes in this input field. If you click in this checkbox hide field, then this field will be invisible and not shown in the DIMPRO. If you select hide field 2 for selection criteria, then the 2 field will be invisible and you can just enter single entries. And I think that's obvious, but for parameters you can't select this checkbox because you just have one single entry. I think this is one important column to save field without values, because if you would check this checkbox, then your input for this error SAP variant won't be saved, won't be in use. And once you have entered another value before using a SAP variant, then the input in this field will still be in use and the saved value of a SAP variant won't be taken over in this input. So keep this in mind, because then you won't have the ability to save any inputs for a SAP variant. So under switch GPA off, there you can make some changes for saving values in the memory. This is not in use in this case, and because of that we can't make any changes in here. If you select required fields, then it is mandatory that you type in any input in this input field. And with selection variable, then you can enter a value dynamically. For example, for dates, we will see in a couple of seconds. In options, then you can enter an option for the selection variable. For example, if it should be included, if it should be excluded, if it should be equal to, so this will automatically be taken over. The name of the variable is the calculation of the selection variables. For example, for a date field, how many days you would go into the future, into the past for your calculation. And here you can only use the for help for your inputs. So you can click on this button or you can hit the for key on your keyboard. Down here you can also make some changes for dynamic selections, and you have there the same columns as over here. And now I would like to show you how you can set a date dynamically. And for this, I'm just getting my ERP app variant demo to use this as a P variant. And in here, for example, the posting date, there I can see that this is a date. It's a selection criteria, and in here I would like to set this date dynamically. So in here I'm using the for help, and now here you have three options. You can set a table variable from a table. You can use a dynamic date calculation for the local date, and here you can use a dynamic date calculation for the system date. And in our case, I'm using D for the local date. And here again, I am using the for help, and now here you have different options. So for example, if you would like to include your input or if you would like to exclude your input. In the options there you have the ability to set it up to equal, to not equal, to less or equal, and so on. So this is important for your calculation. And under this, there you can see what this input is. So for example, the current date, then the current date will be used. And in our case, I would like to show you how we can set a date exactly 1 year in the past. Because if you imagine that you don't want to change your SAP variant every day, because it is another date. And for example, if I would like to save my SAP variant statically, just with the today's date, then every day I have to change the SAP variant, because tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, the date is different. And so I would like to set it up dynamically. And now I would like to use the current date plus minus a specific amount of days. And in here I am using the I because it should be included. Under options, I would like to set it up to equal, because the value should be equal. And in here under current date, there with double click, I can enter a specific amount of days. And for this one, I'm going exactly 1 year in the past, so 365 days. So minus 365 days. Then you can use this button or the 5 key on your keyboard, and now this input has been taken over. And if now I am saving my SAP variant, yes, I would like to override it. And then if you're getting your variant, then you will exactly see that in this field I have gone exactly 1 year in the past. And in the menu function under go to variants, there you have a lot more functions. So for example, we've now seen the get function and the save as variant function. You could also use the key combination Shift and F5 for getting SAP variants, or the key combination Control S to save inputs as a variant. If you want to, you can also click on the display button, and there you're seeing the existing variants. Keep in mind that if you have selected the checkbox in SAP catalog, then this won't also be shown in here. The SAP variant will only be shown in the catalog. And if you choose delete, then via double click or selecting one entry and hitting this button, you can delete a SAP variant quite easily. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have learned what SAP variants are and how you can make changes to SAP variants. Hit the like button, add a comment and subscribe for free, and then see you in the next video.